Thank you, and thank you, President Trump. No one was demanding this. Very, very few people in the country. President Trump did not have to do what he did just a few moments ago for the January 6ers. Conservative media, some were calling for it. Not everybody, to be honest. Only the most diehard, quite frankly, among us, right, who refused to forget. Now, there were people who were telling President Trump, you know, you really don't have to do it. You don't have to commute those sentences. You don't have to issue those pardons. He did. 1,600 people. 1,600 and counting. He's reviewing the cases. A handful have to be reviewed still, but 1,600 people. We have all kinds of folks who walked out of federal prison tonight. It happened. It's happening. One of the very first things he did, as soon as he walks in the Oval Office, he signs the pardon. Joe Biden pardoned his corrupt family. Donald Trump pardoned vulnerable, not very powerful, regular, ordinary patriots. And it's awesome.
First, we have a list of pardons and commutations relating to events that occurred on January 6, 2021.
Okay, and how many people is this?
I think this order will apply to approximately 1,500 people.
So this is January 6th, and these are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutation?
Full pardon. We have about 6 commutations in there where we're doing further research.
Okay.
Nice to see you again.
And you, sir.
So this is a big one. Anything you want to explain about this? We hope they get them. We hope they come out tonight, frankly. We're expecting it. Approximately 1,500 people. Six commutations.
And they have started to come out of prison tonight. Now remember, these people were over-persecuted, over-prosecuted, harassed. This is glorious. In my opinion, absolutely glorious. I am thrilled. And I am thrilled that President Trump is president once again. What were you thinking during his inaugural address? It was a long one, 30 minutes, but it didn't seem long to me. Every paragraph told a story. Now, 30 minutes, but we took together some of our favorite parts, and here's a sample.
I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success. A tide of change is sweeping the country. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world. And America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before. But first, we must be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated by this great momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America. My recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal and all of these many betrayals that have taken place, and to give the people back their faith, their wealth, their democracy, and indeed their freedom. From this moment on, America's decline is over. Just a few months ago, in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. That is why each day under our administration of American patriots, we will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world. Ambition is the lifeblood of a great nation. And right now, our nation is more ambitious than any other. There's no nation like our nation. Americans are explorers, builders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneers. The spirit of the frontier is written into our hearts. The call of the next great adventure resounds from within our souls. Our American ancestors turned a small group of colonies on the edge of a vast continent into a mighty republic of the most extraordinary citizens on earth. No one comes close. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So to every parent who dreams for their child and every child who dreams for their future, I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We're going to win like never before. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. America will be respected again and admired again, including by people of religion, faith, and goodwill. We will be prosperous. We will be proud. We will be strong, and we will win like never before. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
In my opinion, it was the greatest inaugural address of all time. Confident, calm, so much wisdom, kind of like his supporters. Supporters are wise. We are wise. We saw through the lies. We saw through it all. Every day, they tried to horrify us, right? With lies about January 6th. We knew it didn't seem right, and then we found out, no, they're trying to scam us. They're lying to us. We saw right through it. What about this nonsense about race, trying to pit everybody against each other? We saw through that. He saw through that. We're not divided by race. It's not particularly relevant. We're about America. They tried to make it a toxic issue. Donald Trump and race. Oh, no, we couldn't be swayed. And the Afghanistan loss, they tried to make us forget it, right? They looked the other way. It was a 4-day story, maybe. A long weekend of news, and then never mentioned again. How can we forget that we lost a war? America does not, must not, cannot lose wars. They did everything they could to help Joe Biden, and then they couldn't. The debate, I mean, then it was up. He had 200 million witnesses, but even then, Joe Biden said out loud that he was the first president to not lose one U.S. service member on his watch, and he wasn't fact-checked. Kamala Harris falsely claimed that there wasn't one U.S. service member deployed to a combat zone. She wasn't fact-checked. For the past 3.5 years, Joe Biden got away with it, even though the American people could see he was in decline. They pretended it wasn't happening. Cover and concealment? What is this, the Soviet Union? The media didn't report it, but they still couldn't keep it from the people. We saw this.
We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Kleptocracy and the guys who are the kleptocracies. But these are bad guys.
You know, we saw that if you were watching Newsmax. Very few media outlets were presenting this kind of information. We were. I don't understand. To this day, I don't understand. I mean, this is a big story. Why would the New York Times protect a guy like Joe Biden? It still mystifies me. How did our culture get so broken, so crazy, so warped, so fast as to pretend that an image like this, drag queens going to the school, public schools, and hanging around with children, was somehow righteous, was somehow good, was somehow anything other than a perverted, crazy, bizarre, must be stopped program. You know, if you complain about this in New York City, you could be charged with a hate crime. Politicians will say you're the problem. President Trump, a man of action, of course. It wasn't just ceremony today. It was an amazing day. Inauguration, the formal address, over to the Capital One Arena, another speech, and then signing executive orders to the delight of, right now, MAGA, but soon all Americans.
The next item, sir, is a freeze on all federal hiring, excepting the military and a number of other excluded categories, again, until full control of the government is achieved and we understand the objectives of government going forward.
Could you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so. I don't think so.
President Trump, we believe, has talked more to the American people directly today, even give and take with reporters at the Oval Office, more than Joe Biden has done in a year. It's astounding. All right, a few moments ago, I showed you the footage. I think this goes back to abuse that family. Yeah, that's a suspected serial killer, and the police are about to gently approach him. How about that? He may have murdered 12 women, at least. Watch what happens. Hey, can we have a word with you? You're under arrest, Rex. Come with us. Well, moments ago, it became official that Christopher Cuny, a great Marine, a great family man who did nothing wrong, has finally had his record cleared, a full and complete pardon, which I know is a thrill to him and his wife. Christopher is joining us right now, along with his attorneys, David Maxwell and David Gardner. Welcome, gentlemen, and congratulations, Christopher. You got the word? How do you feel? And how did the word come down?
It's a mix of emotions, Greg. I mean, I broke down and cried. I mean, I don't know how else to put the emotions that I've been through, that all J6ers have been through over the last 4 years. The words are lost on me right now. I hugged my wife, I kissed my son, and the first thing we did was we prayed and we thanked God. All the praise and glory goes to him. And we knew that Trump was going to do the right thing, but we've been watching all day long, all morning, just for that one piece of information. And when it came up, I mean, my neighbors probably thought I was crazy. I was jumping around and crying, and it's an amazing day. It's an amazing day.
And you are, my understanding, you're free to leave the home because you were under house arrest until this happened. Your lawyers, Mr. Maxwell, Mr. Gardner, this is true. He can now leave the home. And what does the pardon mean? Is this erased like it almost never happened? Can you tell us how it works? Either one of you.
So, Greg, thank you so much. And it's Dan Maxwell. And we're so happy for Chris. Captain Cuny here, Chris, has it's an unconditional pardon. That is a complete erase of any conviction. He is in fact a free man. And to be clear, we are his civil attorneys, and consonant with your opening monologue, Greg, actually, about how the government let this happen, how a government supported this narrative and something like this, all at the expense of Christopher and people like him. We are now seeking to secure him justice because that expense was forced upon him, and he should now be compensated. And we hope in the coming days to begin that dialogue with government officials and secure that justice. So when we were moved by his story, and we are so happy right now, but there's more to be done.
Totally, because this is, Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, Greg. We're just celebrating with Chris right now. We just got off the phone moments ago, and we didn't know he's going to be appearing tonight. So we're happy to be with him. I guess in spirit, we're several thousands of miles away from him at this time. But we got a text from Chris, saw it on X, saw it on Twitter, and our thoughts and prayers are with Chris and his family right now. We reached out to him right away, and he, I'll say candidly, he broke down in tears with us. So we feel for him, and we're just happy to be part of his journey. Now we need to figure out where we're going to go going forward, and we think things are shaping up pretty nicely for him. I think his life's going to get a lot better going forward here.
Right, because Christopher, I mean, when you're a convicted felon, and prior to that, when you're under investigation by the federal government and the FBI is showing up, that can wreak havoc in your life, loss of employment, loss of business. Can you tell us a little bit about the impact on you economically?
Oh, absolutely. When I was living in Kansas at the time, I was a legal FFL business owner and a gunsmith. And I have since lost that business and lost my ability to do anything with firearms, quite frankly. Now with the pardon, that's going to be restored, but that was a business that was lost. I took a job with another company. I hadn't even formally pled guilty or anything, and I lost my employment because of that. I've been evicted from 2 homes because of this, and it's been hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. It has been 4 years of agonizing stress, agonizing worry, wondering if the FBI is going to come and raid my house again, if they're looking through my emails, my phones, always looking over my shoulder. Going down the street and seeing a police car with its lights on, wondering, oh my goodness, am I going to get pulled over? Am I going to get arrested? Are they coming after me again? And I think that's a pretty common thread throughout all the J6 stories. And it's just, it's heartbreaking. You have that felony attached to your name and your life changes. Even if you plead guilty under duress, that your life changes. Sometimes you can't get loans. Banks can deny you services. You can be denied rental services. Purchase of a home is just absolutely ludicrous what they do to you. It's the punishment never ends. Never ends, Greg.
Well, you're about to be compensated in so many ways, I think. You'll get it all back with those attorneys and Donald Trump and the American people on your side, so many of us. This is going to work out great. I'm confident. Thank you very much, Dan and David. Thank you. Christopher Cuny.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you very much. You bet,
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Greg. God bless you.
Best to the family. God bless you. God bless all of us. And
God bless
let's
all of
stay in
us.
touch, okay?
Thank you so much,
This
Greg.
is not
Thank you.
over. Now, there's one guy who got a pardon today who did not deserve it, all right? Actually, several guys. Joe Biden's brothers and sisters. Yes, you saw that, right? His brother, his sister-in-law, his other brother. It's unbelievable what he did with 15 minutes left in office, handing out pardons to his corrupt family. I do believe they are corrupt. All right? And it was done by the Chief Justice. He started doing the oath of office too soon. You see, the family is still getting into position, and the Bibles weren't there yet. So it was kind of messed up on Chief Justice Roberts' part. That guy is messed up before. You see, his hand actually technically isn't on the Bible because he just started, he went right into it, Chief Justice Roberts did. John Roberts. That guy's let us down before. Can I see a picture of him, please? He was wrong on what? Obama. There he is. He likes Obama. He was freaked out about election. You just can't count on him. In fact, he lets down Republicans and Democrats. He also screwed up when he was giving the oath of office to Barack Obama. Check this out.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
That I will execute the office of President to the United States faithfully.
That I will execute
faithfully the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States faithfully.
All right, he was getting the words out of order and wrong, Chief Justice Roberts, so much so that they had to go back and do the oath of office that night at the White House to make sure it was all official and kosher. Anyway, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you have to technically have your hand on the Bible, but they did bring all 3 Bibles, and President Trump, all 3 family Bibles, and it was John Roberts' fault, all right? But anyway, it was a totally legitimate swearing in. We're going to go to one of the balls now. It's the Commander-in-Chief ball, and our Sarah Williamson is standing by. All dressed up, I hope. Yes, you are. It looks like it's a great time, and you look terrific. What's happening there?
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, it is a fantastic time, actually. The festivities end this evening with 3 official inaugural balls. There is this one, which is the Commander-in-Chief Ball, the Liberty Ball, and the Starlight Ball. Now, the Commander-in-Chief Ball, as you mentioned, is where I am now, and this is a ball for the military service members. Now, Defence Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth is here, and he's off to the right of me. Of course, he is a veteran, so he has been met with an adorning crowd, and we have a very packed house here behind me as we wait for the formalities to begin and for the president to arrive, which is any moment now at about 9:30. But we have country and music band Rascal Flatts and singer and songwriter Parker McCollum are expected to perform as well tonight. Then the president heads over to the Liberty Ball, which is geared towards Trump's biggest supporters. They'll be having Jason Aldean performing there along with Nelly and the Village People. So that is quite the lineup, Greg. Then finally, we wrap at the Starlight Ball, where the guests are expected to include donors, and singer and songwriter Gavin DeGraw is scheduled to perform. So there is a very busy night for the president, who is expected to be delivering remarks at all of these balls. And of course, we will let you know and keep you posted for when he does arrive and speak here, Greg.
Okay, please do, yes. And in the meantime, what? People just hanging around? Is there food there? What's happening? What are they all doing?
Plenty of food, plenty of drinks. People are just generally having a great time. There's music playing in the background, and everyone's dressed beautifully in their official dress military gear, here with their loved ones, basically just catching up. And people are coming out on the stage now, Greg, but don't worry, false alarm. And incredible food, incredible spread of food and drinks being handed around and tables met up. So people are enjoying themselves. It is a good night so far.
Of course they are. What a question. What are they doing at that party? They're partying. They're enjoying themselves. Sarah Williamson, we thank you very, very much. Just think of it. President Trump, the 45th and the 47th President of the United States. He is on duty right now, and it really is awesome. Okay, we'll be right back.
For yourself or any other additional members of the family?
For myself?
Yes, sir.
What would I pardon myself for?
That's what I'm asking.
No, I have no contemplation of pardoning myself for anything. I didn't do anything wrong.
Oh, is that a cell phone? You didn't do anything wrong. What about your brother and your other brother and your sister and your sister-in-law and your sister's husband, i.e. your brother-in-law? They all got pardons for anything they may have done, any crimes they may have committed going all the way back to 2014. This doesn't seem like it should be legal. And actually, is it? Let's bring in our experts. Joe diGenova, the former U.S. attorney for Washington, D.C., Barak Lurie, noted attorney and radio talk show host, and Eric Eggers, the great researcher, along with Peter Schweitzer and host of that Drill Down podcast. Joe diGenova, when you heard about this, what did you think, and what are the legalities of this? What does it actually mean?
Well, I expected it completely. It just, and I thought it would happen at the very last minute in order to get smothered in inaugural activities. It's perfectly legal. There's nothing anybody can do about it. However, they don't have Fifth Amendment rights anymore. They can be subpoenaed, brought before a congressional committee, and if they lie, they can be prosecuted for perjury. So the pardon does not protect them from future crimes, such as lying under oath to a congressional committee.
All right, but how about this? Isn't there some, I mean, it's for crimes that they may have committed. They're not specified. And I don't remember, but when they gave one of these to Richard Nixon, there was all kinds of speculation. Hey, the president can't do that. Barak Lurie, it doesn't specify what crimes they committed. So is there some wiggle room? I mean, do they really get off scot-free?
You know, it's really a challenge. I don't think that this has ever been done before. We've never really faced this particular issue before, where everything is so vague that you can't really pin anything. It's like pinning Jello to the wall. So I think that the biggest loose end here is that Joe Biden didn't pardon himself. That is something that I'm really fascinated by. I actually thought that and predicted that he would pardon himself before he actually left. I was wrong about that. But I think at the end of the day, that leaves him open to be the big kahuna, the big guy, and the only guy that's available to actually prosecute. The question is whether they will prosecute him because he's a doddering old man who's got dementia, just like the previous attorney general who decided not to pursue him for the classified documents case. So it's very interesting. I do think that the pardon will stick with regard to the family members. They'll certainly be able to waive that, because if they didn't, then Trump won't be able to pardon other people with whatever he wants to do in a vague sort of way as well. So it's definitely new territory, but it's a real challenge for anyone to say that Jim Biden, for example, the brother, should be prosecuted because of this pardon.
Well, we know that they got tens of millions of dollars from Ukraine, Romania, and China. And I also heard from the House Oversight Committee that they didn't pay taxes on any of that money, Eric Eggers. What do you think of all this? And I can't get my hands around it. I feel like they still have criminal exposure, or they should.
They definitely should. After all, as you may well aware, and I know maybe Joe knows as well, there's a Supreme Court ruling in 1915 in which they held that an acceptance of a pardon is an implicit admission of guilt. So who knows what future exposure they may have. I mean, heck, Frank Biden's still on the hook for the $1 million he owes that family from a '99 car crash he was party to. But what's clear is, and I think the most interesting thing, it starts on that January 1st, 2014 date, the same day that Hunter Biden's pardon began. That's when all of the business dealings, the deal with China, the deals with Burisma, they all get cranked up. And Greg, as you and I have spoken about before, the fact that it goes through today and covers the period of time when they were setting up the Biden Center. We know Valerie Biden was integral in that. What negotiations did any of those Biden family members have with foreign entities? Foreign money came through the Biden Center when Joe wasn't vice president and he was about to run for president. What conversations did any of the Bidens have in order to get Joe Biden to agree to step down for running for re-election? That, to me, remains. If there was any sort of quid pro quo, if there's any kind of talks of extortion or bribery, they would now be excused from that. That, to me, is the central question that they appear to have now been legally absolved from.
Yeah, that we still don't know the details about how that all went down. I think that New York Times story over the weekend did not tell the real story, or certainly the entire story. All right, the cover story for this is, Donald Trump is going to weaponize the Justice Department and come after his political enemies, i.e. what they just did. But they are going to sell that, Joe diGenova, and the media are going to buy it. Quite frankly, there's a media blackout on this story. I know that there are inaugural balls to cover, but still, this is huge.
Well, I think the media is almost irrelevant at this point because this information gets out through the new means and the new media. People know what's going on. They understand that the Biden crime family are a bunch of grifters, that they're corrupt, and that this was done to protect the family because crimes were committed. So the issue is, what are congressional committees going to do about it? And you can conduct grand juries, by the way, to find about the involvement of other people and other crimes. They're still going to have to testify. They don't have any Fifth Amendment rights anymore. And again, if they lie to a grand jury or a Senate committee, they can be prosecuted for perjury. I'm perfectly happy to have people indicted for perjury, given the level of conduct here. Joe Biden did what he knew he had to do to protect his family facially. And believe me, I'm from Wilmington, Delaware. I was born and raised with the Bidens. They're going to go back into a small southern town. You talk about a town without pity. I would just love to be up there for a few weeks watching these clowns roam around and try to get somebody to have lunch with them.
Yeah.
Well, they got that state wired. For instance, the Delaware News Journal. The Delaware News Journal has never written one word of the work we did with Bill Stevenson on the show, the great guy, ex-husband of Jill, who blows this whole thing wide open. So they have a refuge, I think, in Delaware. But let's see what happens. You guys are the best. Eric Eggers, Barack Lurie, and Joe diGenova, to be continued. I think on the stage right now is Jason Aldean. Let's take a...
We will treat those people from January 6th fairly. We will treat them fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons because they are being treated so unfairly. We're going to look very strongly at J6. Those people, there has never been people treated more horrifically than J6 hostages. They should immediately be released. Immediately, the J6 hostages.
And here he is, within hours of taking office, making good on that promise. I wonder who, if anyone, tried to talk him out of that. You know, none of the other Republicans who are running for president really ever talked about the January 6ers in any meaningful way. That was a reason to not vote for President Trump, they said. Well, I am not surprised, but I am thrilled what he did. So many of them walked out of jail tonight or had their records expunged, like Brandon Straka, who was there on January 6th on the Capitol grounds, but he didn't hurt anybody. He didn't break anything. Yet he had a criminal record, a federal criminal record, I think up until about 20 minutes ago. Brandon Straka, have you officially received your pardon?
I received a phone call from my attorney within the last hour telling me that I have received a full unconditional pardon by President Donald Trump, the President of the United States.
Congratulations. That's awesome. What does it mean for you practically speaking? First of all, the practicalities. When you were walking around with this criminal record, federal criminal record, and you had to do all that time in home confinement, which you did, what does it mean now? What do you get back?
Well, what it means from a practical standpoint is that my record is cleared. I pled guilty. I took a plea deal like the majority of January 6 defendants. And honestly, Greg, if I could take a moment right now to say, because this will be the first time that I've ever said this in 4 years, for 4 years, I have been silenced by the plea agreement that I signed with the government. And for the first time ever, I can tell you that from top to bottom, that plea agreement was a complete and total lie. The government came and gave me multiple felony charges and essentially said that if I didn't say that I encouraged the crowd to go inside the building and that I encouraged the crowd to take a shield from an officer, I could not get a plea deal. None of those things were true. I didn't do any of those things. Nonetheless, I signed a document saying that I did because that was the way that I was able to get my felony charges dropped in order to get a misdemeanor plea deal. As you know, everybody who's going to trial for January 6th, the government is getting 100% conviction rate in the District of Columbia. So on a practical level for me, it means that I no longer have a criminal charge on my record and that my period of probation now ends today when it would have ended actually in 3 days. They scheduled my probation to end in 3 days after the inauguration.
Brandon Straka, congratulations. It's a bit emotional, isn't it? It's really, so we know from a practical standpoint, and what about your spirit? How do you, tell us a little bit about that. We saw some of it right there.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I'm extremely happy and I'm extremely touched, but it is a wide range of emotions today because, you know, I think about people like Jerry Perna, for whom a pardon won't help. You know, her nephew Matthew committed suicide because of what the Joe Biden DOJ has done to all of us over the last 4 years, and the indescribable pressure and pain and torment that they've caused so many people. 5 people have committed suicide because they could not endure the brutality of what Joe Biden's Department of Justice has. Justice is coming too late, and no pardon is going to help them. But I will say from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to President Trump because I know I've been told that so many people, Republicans, were giving him pushback and telling him not to pardon the January 6th defendants. But on his first day in office, he kept his promise and he went in and he pardoned all of us. And I know that this is going to relieve a lot of people's pain. It's the first step, I think, towards bringing a little bit of healing and a little bit of justice for so many people whose lives have been absolutely destroyed by Joe Biden and his Department of Justice.
Brandon Straka, we are happy for you. And some of us knew you were innocent even even way before this pardon, of course. But I'm glad it's official, and I'm so glad that President Trump did what he did. To be continued, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
Check out the Walk Away campaign, everybody. Gosh, I think the microphone turned off. We'll be right back.